broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
This is Till Death Do We Part.
Till debt do us part. Till debt.
Hello, AfterBuzz Bar Rescue fans. Kevin Undergaro here, along with Ashley Grace Daniels.
I'm in trouble. My middle name came down. Uh-oh.
Also, you saw her as one of the expert advisors on tonight's show,
Yes.
entitled Till Death Do Us Part. It's season 4, episode 31. Kind of a mid-season premiere, right? Because we've been off for a while.
Yeah.
Wow, an episode that had so much in it. A lot of
So
emotion,
much.
An amazing renovation. But obviously, we're going to have to start with you and your thoughts and take us through. You're in this car with John and...
Well, I wasn't in the car. No, I wasn't in the
No,
car.
the wife was in the car.
Yeah, Edith was in the car.
He was talking to you from
Yeah.
the car. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was, I walked into the bar with, his name's escaping me right now, the radio host, of course. But he and I walked into the bar, and basically, I ordered a mojito, and they
But
didn't have
tell
one.
me your thoughts on the bar.
Well, yeah, what's interesting is that a lot of that wasn't shown because I was very verbal about the bar, It was disgusting. It was so disgusting that it was so bad that I remember being leaning against the bar and feeling like when I got back, it was going to be a line of stickiness on my shirt. You know, I walked over when John had called me. I actually walked a little bit around the bar. And I could see the couches and the stuff that they showed you the up close of, but it was it looked like it was truly looked like my old cafeteria, which is saying really saying a lot about the place, because if you had seen my cafeteria, it was horrendous. It was just dirty wood, and it was just it just looked like
you went to
70s.
Catholic school.
I went to Catholic school. We had no money.
And they never put any
They
money
never put a
back.
dime into it, and the nuns just, did the best they could, but it was horrendous, and this was just blast to the past.
They just got by on spooking your parents into making you guys have to go to Catholic school.
Exactly.
All right, but anyway.
Yeah, back to this, but it was so dirty. It was so gross, and it was just, there was the service. I remember trying to get her to even see me, the lady to even notice me, and it was difficult to even get her to give me a drink, but it wasn't that crowded, so I was surprised. It was just horrible.
Well, this speaks to the point of anyone who tries to say the show's cooked, because I've now done a few episodes myself and was trying to look to see where the show is cooked or where they're staging things or setting things up. I don't think that they could tell a waitress not to wait on you. Right? No bartender in their right mind would do that, because then they would just get hammered by John.
No, nothing was staged. I literally, all they said was go in there. Go and order what you would order. And I said I'd order a mojito, and I was surprised. They didn't even have a menu, because then when they didn't have a mojito, I'm like, well, I'll just order something else, maybe another signature drink that they have. There's no menu. So when I got the margarita, it was so bad. It was like that margarita that you get when you go to those fairs, any type of county fair or something, and they have the margaritas. They're just it's pure margarita mix. It's just sugar in your mouth.
Right.
So bad. It was a nice experience. It was so weird that the area that you were in too was just.
So we're in San Diego.
Yeah, you're in San Diego, but it's kind of it's kind of secluded where this bar was, because I remember driving to it and thinking wow, this is kind of a drive. I mean, granted, I drove from LA, but I'm saying it didn't seem like it was in this really hip. There wasn't a ton of stuff going on. It could have also been that it was nighttime too.
No, you're right, because when I read some of the Yelp reviews, they said the bar was really out of the way.
He was a pizza place there, I remember. And it was kind of like a strip mall, it looked kind of and it was just not welcoming. It was so unwelcoming in every way that you can imagine. So even the outside of it, And when you walked in, it was like all cramped too, and like everything was thrown. It looked like you were almost in like a salvage yard a little bit. Things were just not in the right spot. It was like containers and random things just like not in the right spot. I just remember being very like claustrophobic.
It's like, once again, we're dealing with an owner that is not present, and where he is present, it's for all the wrong things. He's drinking, he's womanizing.
Yeah.
But his eye is not on the business at all. No, taking care of the business. Well, he brings the. Let me back up a little bit. It's supposed this episode, when you guys, after you were done shooting it, John called me, and he didn't call me to talk about you. He called to say, "I can't believe what just happened."
Really?
And he told me about the. I had one of the owner's wives surprise us with divorce papers as a gift. I had no idea. It blew me away. And he said, by the end of it, I got them back on the same page. And he was just like emotionally drained, physically drained. And he was just calling because I don't even think he believed it.
Right.
And because, again, it would look, if you were cynical, you would think that it was all staged.
Yeah.
Because it's like too perfect.
Yeah. It's nothing was staged. Where I was, there was not one thing that was staged. You didn't say anything.
But to speak to that point, if any fans think otherwise, I know from John had called me months ago to say, You're not going to believe what just happened.
Right.
And he was really blown away by it. But she sits and does recon with John. Mm-hmm. And she gets to see him talking to those girls. And he offers, which I thought was a very kind gesture, to go to her bikini contest. One of the girls he was talking to, he was happy to attend.
Amazing.
And then he said the famous line of, "I don't see any ring."
Well, no, she said, "But you're married."
Yeah.
And he said, "I don't have a ring. Where do you see a ring?" And it was horrifying. It just makes you think. 'Cause I have to be honest, I never have done anything like this before. So when I was mic'd, and I was told there were cameras in there, so I felt like I was going to know where the cameras were. But you don't have a clue where those cameras are. And within seconds, I forgot that I was mic'd. You just forget, because they're everywhere. So now when I look back and I'm like, usually I'm the first to be like, well, he knows he's mic'd. But it's like, you don't know how close up those cameras look like. You can't see them, but they get everything, and you're really watching. I mean, you've been on a reality show, so you know.
No, and by the way, we have them here at AfterBuzz.
Oh, okay.
Just in the hallways in the back area, for security reasons.
Of course.
But they catch everything.
And you would never think, because they're so small.
Right.
I mean, I didn't even know where they were. But within seconds, I forgot that I was mic'd. So I can imagine he had a couple drinks. He's relaxed. It makes sense that he would forget that there are cameras there filming a show about him.
Yeah, you almost can't even believe, what the hell. I mean, why somebody wouldn't be able to hold it together. But by the way, I'm glad they don't. I mean, we see on those few occasions where these guys will hold it together for the 4 days, and I hate it because it doesn't make good TV.
Right.
Much better.
That was shocking.
Did you see him at all?
Nope. I saw nobody.
You just dealt with that one, the born bartender.
Yep.
Anyway, well, she sees that, and needless to say, she's had it, and she gives him his anniversary gift. And it's so funny. I always like when the other parties kind of scoot away. The other two girls
they left.
They scooted out really fast, and she lays it on him, and he tries to say it's business. I'm a businessman. It's
even more disturbing because you find the backstory of her as she gave up her career for him. 7 years of medical school or something?
Yeah, something ridiculous.
And for this, because the brother needed help with the club or something, so they went there, and she devoted her life to him. 14 years. Oh my God! Come on.
And they have children, and then once you have children, it's really hard to, unglue that.
Yeah.
The relationship. I mean,
she's an amazing wife.
Kind of stuck there. So we go there, and he obviously is fighting back with John, which typical of a stubborn male and someone who's drinking a lot will do. I feel like a lot was cut out in the process of him being hammered. But when we brought in our own Mia, of course, for recon, and Anthony
Lamas.
Yeah, Lamas, to do the kitchen. There was so much going on in this episode that I say this so many weeks, could be most disgusting bar.
It was definitely. We have to. I mean, this was gross. I
We've
was
had
so
gross
skeeved
ones.
out when I knew I drank
guess,
something there afterward.
I guess it's always a difference between we've seen some mice or whatever. I mean, but to see that when John poured out into the strainer, right?
The towel.
I gagged on the TV. I gagged. I had to go run to my kitchen sink. Because I can't take that stuff.
I looked in my drink before I drank it because I've watched many episodes of Bar Rescue. There were no flies in mine, thank God. But it still makes you think when you see like Mia pick up that thing on the bar and you see all the bacteria, and then you see there's not like 1 or 2 flies. He puts them in a towel. Like, there's got to be at least 15, 20 flies. The real problem out of everything, even worse than the fact there were flies in the bottle, to me, is when he insinuates that this was all played in. This was all.
Oh, that's right.
And John's
I thought was genius. I'm like, good for you, buddy.
Yeah.
Good for you. Yeah,
this is all how convenient. This is all happening right now. This has never happened before.
And then it was great. John's like, because we went
out at night. He said like you would say something like that. Like we went out at night, caught them all.
Yeah.
Brought them back in.
Yeah.
Put them in the bottles.
But it was the first one to say that. Something in Bar Rescue first. So 4 seasons, he was the first one to go for that. You guys staged this because, it's not bad.
It's not a bad
idea. What else could
right?
he say? But I have a funny feeling, and I feel like with Mia, she gets really upset when it's like dirty and stuff, and she takes, because she loves bartending so much, and she takes it so personally. Yeah. And you could see on her face how upset. And I think when they told him to clean it up, they asked Mia if it was clean, and she said it's workable. So I don't think she was still happy. Yeah. Because I bet you anything they did their best. Right. But it's always hard. You ever notice people who never cleaned before? You ever notice when they try to clean, what happens?
It's like my mother always calls it surface cleaning. It's not real deep cleaning. It's just at the surface.
It's like I always say the lame hand with the rag.
Yeah.
Just kind
Take
of.
my strong hand.
Yeah.
My strong hand. Like that. Did you ever see that movie? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But
what's in the mashed potatoes?
Yes.
Yeah. It's like the weak hand and just like, we're all dusting. Here we go. Nice and clean.
And I feel like if you don't know, and none of those people knew how to clean because none of them had cleaned. Yeah. Other than probably the wife. But me, it was like, listen, all right, fine, we'll deal with it. But I feel like it probably wasn't done to the best of the best.
Are we ever going to get to a point where we can say, okay, they knew Bar Rescue was coming. There's been hundreds of episodes. You would assume at this point you'd look through the bottles, get it together.
I don't know. I mean, I've talked to Phil about that before. One of our producers here, and he always says to me, well, they can't really change who they are. So even that would require work. Most people don't want to put in that extra effort for anything in life. Yeah. I mean, think about, someone has to move. And think of how, I don't know, I've had friends who moved and they've drawn it out so long. Rather than let's get moved. Like the best people I know move and they place everything right back, right where it's supposed to be. Okay, clothes are going to go right in the closet. I kept them on the hangers. And there's that kind of person. Then there's just other people just, we'll get to it. Yeah, we'll get to it. Yeah, we'll get to it. And that's what leads to the bar being like that. But that's also not the mentality that can figure out how to fix it, how to recover, how to say, okay, listen, let's all pitch in this weekend. I mean, the other thing is with even regulars at a bar, a lot of loyal regulars at a bar will pitch in. I've known many bars who've had regulars on the weekends come in and do whatever. All right, let's paint together. Okay, great.
Really?
Like, oh yeah, because that's their second home.
Like more like a. Yeah, I don't know if this was anybody's second home. This was like.
I don't know what this was.
It was a train wreck.
Yeah. So probably you wouldn't have the same relationship.
This isn't like here. Uncle Bob's bar. We got to go in there. The whole family works there. Like this was like, I don't know what sense of loyalty anybody had to that place.
Yeah. Well,
but they were doing well at one point, right? They were making. Supposedly. I think it was 90,000 when they first started. It was, I have the number, bringing 90,000 every month. And now they're 300,000 in debt. Like 11 months behind rent.
11 months on rent. Yeah, I was gonna say
11 months. How does that place not get closed down? Who's the landlord?
Okay,
because
what happens is what happens is with a landlord. First of all, it takes at least 6 months, if not a year, to evict somebody. It might be different. California is the
commercial worst. Versus residential is just different.
But I'm sure commercial is even worse than residential. But it's really hard to get. In fact, we were going to buy a building for AfterBuzz, and the lady just called me and said, hey, it's finally available. I'm like, okay, I called you 8 months ago, but they couldn't get a tenant out to sell the building.
Wow.
It's really hard in California. So number one, it's tough to get the person out. Then number two, if you're the landlord, you say to yourself, geez, you know what? It is out in the middle of nowhere. It's really hard to rent something out. I would rather bet on this guy, like he's behind, but I at least have a shot to get some money rather than no money. And then sometimes there's an argument just to keeping a tenant in a place because it looks attractive to a future tenant.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So who knows? But I know it's easier said than done to get someone out, especially in California.
Right. That's interesting.
So we know Mia's going to come in, and I love John comes up with the plan of you've got to make $1,600, right? For your 3 big nights. And there was great, again, I don't know how they do it 4 seasons in. There's always takeaways. So tonight's takeaway, which you had mentioned to me before we went on the air, was the fact that every 3 years you need to renovate, right, in some way. And then every 7 years rebrand in the bar business.
It's amazing.
Really cool to learn that, right?
Yeah.
So I think probably with a local bar, I think you could keep it the same, like a tavern, you know, like the Warren Tavern in Boston, or like something even more local.
So certain things are like grandfathered in. You just don't want to change
like
it. People will be pissed.
Pub.
You can't take away. Yeah.
Right. But I do think that it makes sense.
Yes.
With the bars and the nightclubs, like every 7 years, you got to turn that soil over.
Right.
But even every 3 years, you have to renovate. It's just good. I think it's even good for us to know here at AfterBuzz. Like every 3 years, just kind of give everything a little bit of a facelift.
It had been 8 years since they touched it.
Touched anything.
That's just, I mean.
And to begin with, let's go over it. Like John had said, the college sign. The sign was like terrible.
It was, yeah. He said it looked like it looked like a school. Like somebody put it up like for a school or something.
It was terrible.
It was really bad.
Really bad. But anyway, he gives him a mark. So if you can hit $1,600 a night, you can pay your bills back. So they go at it, and it's actually a good stress test. It's not one of the ones. I feel like John beat him up so bad that he pulled back a little bit on the stress test.
Yeah.
Because this guy, think about it, he's going to lose his wife and kids. He's really been outed in a bad way as a cheat and a scoundrel. So,
well, he took him aside, right? And he said he needed to discuss with him, like, you really need to pay this back. And, you really need to pay your debt back and everything. Didn't he cry?
He did it, yes. He did have that moment with him, but I think that was after that. He usually does that, like, kind of sit down.
Yeah, he did the other one, too. He did the one with the mother, but didn't the guy kind of almost cry, like you took him aside, and he said this really needs to be fixed right before the stress test? He saw something in him right before the stress test.
I'm sorry.
Because, no, it's fine. I think it was right before the stress test, he took him aside, and he said... Yeah, like there was something that he told him he had to get the $1,600 and all this, but because that's why he did well in the stress test.
Right.
Because he felt like...
He had a goal, but it was interesting because usually the stress test is designed to beat the crap out of the person.
Yeah.
And then the build-up comes afterwards.
Right.
But I think John's, again, we've said this before, he's such a good coach, and I think a good coach adapts coaching techniques to the player. And I've told you this before, like how I say deal with Phil is toward Phil, and then how I deal with you is toward you. And I think because you're a different personality than Phil, so you're going to respond differently. And John has that way. It seems like he does this every week, but he knew with this guy he would have broken. Right. He would have a nervous breakdown, or he would have just walked out, and then nobody would win. I mean, John's job is to deliver a show, renovate the bar, and if I know John, he wants to try and salvage that family too. Yeah. So you don't do that by completely shattering the guy and making the guy snap. So I think he knew because he beat him up real good. But then and I know for John, because John's so respectful of women, he probably really wanted to lay it on the guy. But it seemed like he pulled back just enough, which was nice. He pulled back just enough during that stress test to make this guy feel like he could do it. Yes, and didn't he tell the wife, he told Edith, he said, he's doing better, but don't take the pressure off him 100% yet. Right. Because don't make it that easy for him, because he'll just jump back into what he was doing. And do it again. Because, women sometimes, they just get easily... Well, any of us. Because you know what? Because it's a... Well, when you're the wife, it's like you just want to see the best in him. I'm sure she wanted to see the best. Yeah, but it's also an exertion of energy. You want to put that energy into your children, the house, your career, whatever it is. You don't want to put into babysitting somebody to do what they're supposed to do already. Right. And we had a wonderful employee here for a long time. His name I won't mention.
Okay.
But I was spending more time watching this guy. And I said, what is my time worth? We have 250 hosts here. I have several other businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And when I and other people are spending more time babysitting somebody, I don't care how good they purport themselves to be.
Right.
Goodbye. Get out. So for her, it's like, yeah, she's got to be tough on the guy, but at some point, he's got to be self-sufficient over there and do it himself, so she can put her time into what she needs to.
Exactly.
So, but John's right though. You can't just let this guy think he can do now whatever he wants.
Right.
So we go through the stress test. Real simple menu. Lamas creates, and of course Mia comes up with some real fun drinks that just looked amazing. And again, I just see like these awesome drinks. I'm like, oh my god, this place doesn't deserve.
I mean, it's amazing. The 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
The music to the.
Talk about
how
that.
funny is Mia? She's so cute.
Okay,
she's over there
right?
dancing and she's getting them excited. She's like, there's a 4 count to this, there's a 4
I'm
count
so
to
glad
making
you brought
drinks.
that up.
It was
Okay,
this is why we love Mia, because she puts 1,000% into everything she does there.
So,
she's not all about like, I do it this way. She's the best. Some people that are great at doing things aren't great at teaching things.
Right.
She's great at both.
We see it all the time. In fact, then there are people who aren't that great at doing things, but are just great teachers.
Yeah.
But she is both, and she's also a great TV personality.
Yeah.
And that's all I kept saying as I watched it. I'm like, man, she's, I know she's going to be working more with John, which is great, because I know John's brand is just going through the roof right now. And I think she's going to be a great kind of deputy for him and a great ambassador for the Taffer brand. But I see someone like that, like she'd be great for Today Show demonstrations.
Oh my God, yes.
She's just got it, the sparkle in her eye. But then when she even figured out a way to be like John in a sense and reach these people, this is amazing. Her and Lisa Marie, I always say, very special.
They're really, really
and
special.
Phil Wills, those are my big 3. But Mia, when she did this, I said to myself, God, she has so many layers to her.
Yep.
And I was so impressed. And they were all having fun. And even that guy, after he took that beating, he broke a smile.
Yeah.
Like he got into it.
Exactly.
It's really, I'm glad you mentioned that. Really great technique. So we, I know John has a sit down with the 2 of them. And this is the moment where she's agrees, okay, I'll give this a shot. And,
right.
Which obviously you can see John's welled up with tears. Everyone's very emotional. I was very emotional watching it. But then we go into the renovation.
Before you go into that, just question. Did you feel that, this is merely a question, I'm not.
No, go ahead.
Did you feel that JP bringing up that his mother passed away was his way of getting sympathy for what he was doing? Or do you feel like he genuinely was saying that his mother's passing a few years ago is the reason his downfall has come to this point?
I think a little bit of both.
Okay.
Because I think that a guy like that probably was a mommy's boy.
Right.
Because he's used to a woman spoiling him.
Yeah, right.
Right? He's used to the wife spoiling him.
Of course.
That comes from the mother.
Right.
So that's a mother who doted all over him.
Right.
So he probably, he comes off like that guy that always got his way and gets to live like a little kid. Basically he's 17 around that bar, right? He's just drinking, he's talking to people.
Giving away
college
$300 a night.
Yeah.
In drinks.
So he's still living like a kid.
Ridiculous.
And that sometimes comes from a mother that would spoil you.
Probably the case,
right?
yeah.
So I think that's true. And then I think, he's looking for excuses too. So I think it's a little bit of both. But I'm glad you brought that up.
So then we go to, sorry because I cut you off. So the next
but I'm
part.
glad you did though. I'm glad you did. So we go to recon.
Yep.
I mean, yes, for the, not recon, excuse me, renovation.
Renovation, yeah.
And...
Well, they did make 16, they did do the 1600.
They succeeded.
Yeah, great. 1669 in the hour. Okay. Yeah, then we go to that.
And then, I love the renovation. Right? Did you love it?
Amazing. A different place. I actually wish I stayed so I could have seen it.
The difference.
Yeah.
So much, you guys, is lighting. You can do so much with lighting. So they splashed that white wall with, I think it was like a pink color.
Yes, pinks and
it
reds.
just glowed, and it was amazing. And by the way, the name.
Yeah, the Ultra Lounge. Lalou's Ultra Lounge, about his mother and his daughter.
The mother and the daughter. So there's a great. So he's not going to change the name just based on that. And hopefully it's a reminder to stay on track.
Yes.
For them.
Very thoughtful.
I love the name. I love the sign too, because the one thing I've said in past episodes is that I get, because it's a 4-day turnaround. So a lot of the signs that Bar Rescue does are flat, and this seemed like it had depth.
That's a very good perception.
I bum out a lot about that, because you either want a sign that's backlit or.
I see what you mean by flat. Okay, like more like a poster sign versus like something that has like a 3D or like something with lighting.
Something has depth and texture. You know, even if you look behind me on right here, it's like we've got the sign in a monitor on a sound panel with lighting. So think of all that pop that you get, and so I like when a sign will have more depth and dimension rather than just a flat sign.
Got it.
And I get it, because I think with a 4-day turnaround and really coming up with a name, sometimes I'm sure he gets it day 1, sometimes it takes him to day 2 or day 3. So then I get it. But I noticed the sign for La Luz, it had more to it. It wasn't just a flat sign against the wall. And then once you go inside, oh my goodness,
amazing.
Right?
Oh my gosh.
What a facelift.
The drinks, the menu, important to note that I think, I don't know how to say her name. Was it Miroslava? The lady that opted to help in the kitchen, Miroslava.
And then came out and bailed them out.
Yeah, basically, she's like basically doing a great job in the kitchen. But that was Anthony brought her in the kitchen, and you can tell that they really paid just as much of attention to the drinks as they did the food. I don't know how long that's going to last. I mean, I hope it lasts. But it looked like everything had finally looked like it had a Caribbean type of influence to it for the first time.
The lighting, the music, the sounds, the
TVs,
the decor, the tables, everything.
Oh, the wallpaper.
Yes.
And that big communal table.
Right.
With the chandelier. Beautiful.
So there's depth, so you've got the chandelier, the wallpaper, just like you mentioned, like
beautiful.
God, add all that texture, and as John said, increases sales by 30%, I think he said. All good. I checked out Bar Rescue updates to see where we're at now. So he's kept the name. Fortunately, a lot of complaints, but it's all about service. The people specified him. They singled him out in the Yelps.
Really?
Yes.
Still?
Yes. Unfortunately, so it's hard, because you can't, it's really hard in 4 days to get through to somebody.
Right. You can only do so much. I mean, 6 weeks after they went up 25%, but that's usually the case whenever because they get excited and they're like all like adrenaline rush and everybody's in, and then can you maintain it?
I'm sure they're still making money, but and like I said, they kept the name, and nobody mentioned anything else about the place looking bad.
Right.
It was just the service.
Right.
But it's it's so hard, because it's so hard to change anybody. I'll tell you, if you don't get, I hate to be like this, but if you don't get somebody in the first 6 years of their life,
I was going to say it's age. It's
really hard. You're spending a lifetime to rehabilitate them.
Yeah.
The person, and it's tough.
They're set in their ways.
It's
a habit at this point.
And by the way, so just a tease for next week, we have a guy that just keeps running away.
Is that what it is?
Did you see the tease?
I didn't see the tease.
Yeah, he just keeps running away. Every time the people were asking for him, and they just show him like jump over the bar and kind of sneak out. And
oh, really?
He ducks.
My thing taped till like the 6 weeks and then cut off. I have to do a minute extended on
I get it. No, it's okay. But anyway, so it made me laugh. Exciting. I was excited to see it. And I forget what, even the Podbusters were funny on this. The little commercial spots. Mia was in them, but it was all about how messy and dirty this bar was.
And I was proud of Taffer. He was periscoping yesterday.
Oh, was he?
Answering questions.
No way.
Yeah, he was doing Taffer Talk on there. He was talking about what to expect from the episode, and answering questions, and really engaging with his fans. It was great to see.
How many people were tuning in? Could you tell?
I could tell afterward. He had a good number of people, for sure. Yeah. Definitely thousands, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know you know this because you are a prolific periscoper.
I love Periscope.
You're one of the top people.
Oh, yeah.
So what, now, something like that, you just tuned in, or did you?
I actually saw it afterward when I was on Periscope later on. People on Periscope were telling me that he was on. So then I went and searched him and then found him, and I replayed his his thing from earlier because it lasts for 24 hours. So if you have Periscope and you want to rewatch it, you still have like 7 hours left or 6 hours left to
And
watch.
as far as I know, he's on the road right now taping.
He is. He's packed last night.
Till January, right?
I don't know till when, but he was packing, he said, during his Periscope to go, I think I don't know where, but I don't know what I'm allowed to say, but yeah.
I know. It's about.
But Mia texted me yesterday. I just love her.
Is she on the road with him too?
She's on the road.
Good. I love her. God,
And
I
I think
hope they keep using her.
They are.
It's just that, it's got to be such a drain to go city to city and do this.
I don't know how he does it.
Yeah.
In Nicole.
And right.
It's a lot.
And then you're even out in the middle of nowhere. Sometimes you don't have the best amenities. Yeah, it's hard. It's a grind.
Yeah.
Even I remember being down there with him the couple times. One of the times I did happened to be cold weather. So that even wears you down even more.
Yeah.
And God, and then you're dealing with these knuckleheads.
It's like it must feel like cuckoo land all the time.
Yeah.
It's like just so many people are insane. When he gets around like people that are like resilient. Stable, it's probably like what?
You have to be, I think, resilient, and it's just the fact that it's not like you went to school to become a bar rescue host. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, the fact that later in life that he picked up this trade, and is just so amazing at it.
Yeah.
It's just really something. It's just there's a lot. As I always say, there's a lot to this show. There's a lot to take away from the show. That's even that to be at John's age and to have his whole career in life go in another direction he never expected.
Right.
And that can happen to anybody.
It's amazing. That's only 4 seasons because there's so many episodes per season. I feel like we're 10 years in.
Well. We're over 100 episodes, and then when I saw
are we over 100 already?
Oh yeah,
wow.
yeah. And when I saw the Full House movie, it was like they only did 100 episodes of that.
I know, because the seasons were so much smaller.
But it was over 8 years.
Yeah, because it was
it's just because Spike is greedy. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
They
there's
just keep
a lot.
going to John because it's like, okay, well, we need ratings. John,
right?
He's
their number one guy.
Another 40 shows.
Number one show.
Can you do another 30 shows? I mean, it's unheard of.
A lot.
Can you imagine
season 4 and there's over 100?
I mean, and I love that scam too of like season 4, episode 31. There's 22 shows on network would give you a network series, cable 12 or 13, but to 31. Be on 31, it really bothers me.
Yeah,
they're taking advantage,
yeah.
And I also. I'm still into this brand. Obviously, everyone else still is, but just imagine if they did 12 or 13 a season.
Yeah,
the difference.
Oh my gosh!
Right, we would be
season 10ish.
Right,
9 or 10. Right.
So anyway,
crazy.
I said enough.
That's all right.
Ashley, where do I find you?
Twitter at Ashley Daniels, Instagram Miss Ashley Daniels, Periscope Ashley Daniels.
So it's Ashley ASHLEYDAN. IELS. And no Meerkat? Oh no, just
Meerkat, Ashley Daniels. Yeah, everything's listed everywhere.
What do you want more?
I'm on Periscope more, but Meerkat, my following's growing really fast, so I started doing that. They're really cool people on there. I like those people on Meerkat.
Okay, you can get me at Undergaro, and please comments to iTunes and to YouTube. Rate us well if you would be so kind, but also any questions. Actually, any questions, hit up Ashley.
Oh, thanks. Yes, please do.
We'll answer them.
It's both of our first shows at the new AfterBuzz studio.
Yes.
This is really, really cool.
I think the fans don't really know because it looks the exact same as the old studio.
Yeah.
Just some new beads.
Yeah, new beads.
Okay, Marissa, you're going to take us out of here. Marissa, where do we find you? Are you allowed to talk in there?
Yep.
Ooh.
You can follow me on Twitter at Serafini TV.
Thanks, Marissa.
Thanks, Marissa.
Okay, guys, we'll see you next week.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.